Essay number 93, 7 Zen Principles and How to Apply Them to Modern Life. You trust a lifestyle blog written by a 23-year-old influencer more than you trust 2,500 years of Buddhist wisdom. And I get it. The influencer is talking about your actual life, your anxiety, your job stress, your relationship problems. The Buddhist monks are talking about suffering and attachment and enlightenment, which sounds great but doesn't help you deal with your boss who's making your life hell. But here's what you don't realize. The reason your life feels so chaotic, so out of control, so constantly overwhelming isn't because you need better life hacks. It's because you're operating without any actual philosophical foundation. You're just doing what you're told without questioning why. You follow cultural norms that serve consumerism. You chase goals that serve someone else's agenda. You believe things because they showed up in your feed enough times, not because they're actually true or helpful. Meanwhile, there's this ancient system of understanding that could completely transform how you experience reality, but you won't touch it because it seems irrelevant to modern life. So let me translate it for you. Let me show you how Zen principles, which aren't even religious, by the way, they're just about self-awareness, can actually solve the problems you're scrolling through Instagram trying to fix. First principle, your experience is constructed by your mind. This isn't some mystical woo-woo concept. This is neuroscience. This is psychology. This is observable reality. Everything you experience is filtered through your perception. Two people can have the exact same thing happen to them and have completely different experiences of it. One person loses their job and sees catastrophe. Another loses their job and sees opportunity. Same event, different mental construction. The Yogacara discourse explained this thousands of years before we had brain scans to prove it. Your mind's perceptions literally create your experience of reality. But here's the part that'll change your life. You can choose what to focus on. We're raised to believe thoughts just happen to us, that we're victims of our own minds, that if an anxious thought shows up, we have to follow it down every catastrophic rabbit hole. That's not true. Not every negative thought is an invitation to spiral. Not every fear needs to be explored to its worst possible conclusion. You can actually choose which thoughts to engage with and which to let pass by. Your coworker says something that could be interpreted as rude. Your mind immediately constructs a story. They hate you. They're trying to undermine you. Your job is in danger. But that's not reality. That's your mind constructing an experience. You could just as easily construct a different story. They're having a bad day. It has nothing to do with you. Moving on. The event doesn't change. Your experience of it does. Second principle, your concept of self is an illusion. Who are you? No, really. Strip away your job title. Strip away your relationships. Strip away your hobbies, your appearance, your achievements. What's left? Most of us can't answer that because we only understand ourselves through external labels. Writer, teacher, mom, good person, anxious person, smart person. We think we are these things. But you're not. You're the consciousness experiencing these roles. You're the awareness playing these parts. The problem is, we understand ourselves primarily through how we imagine other people see us. Your entire self-concept is just your projection of other people's supposed perceptions. You're living in a hall of mirrors, thinking the reflections are real. This is why you're so stressed about what people think of you. This is why criticism destroys you. This is why you can't make a decision without considering how it'll look to others. You think their perception of you is you. But it's not. It's all construct. It's all illusion. The master move isn't to destroy the ego or pretend you don't have a self. It's to realize you're playing a character while not getting so lost in the role that you forget you're acting. You can be a teacher without thinking you are teacher. You can be in a relationship without your entire identity depending on it. Third principle, you don't need to believe in anything. You only need to follow what feels true in the moment. This one's going to trigger some people, but stay with me. The problem with rigid belief systems is that they make you trust external authority more than your own inner knowing. You end up in constant conflict between what you're told is right and what you feel is true. You know this feeling. Your religion says one thing, but your heart says another. Your parents taught you one thing, but your experience shows you another. Society tells you one thing, but your intuition screams another. Zen doesn't tell you what to believe. It tells you to pay attention to what feels true right now, not forever, not as absolute truth. Just right now, in this moment, what resonates. This isn't about rejecting all wisdom or becoming a relativist who thinks nothing matters. It's about recognizing that truth is alive, dynamic, contextual. What serves you at 20 might destroy you at 40. What helps someone else might hurt you. Stop outsourcing your truth to other people's dogma. Start trusting what you actually experience. Fourth principle, the ultimate path to happiness is non-attachment. Before you roll your eyes and say, "I've heard this before," let me explain what non-attachment actually means, because it's not what you think. Non-attachment doesn't mean not caring. It doesn't mean being emotionally dead. It doesn't mean giving up on goals or relationships or dreams. Non-attachment means understanding that everything serves you. Everything. The relationship that ended, it served you by teaching you what you actually need. The job you didn't get, it served you by redirecting you towards something better. The failure that crushed you, it served you by showing you where you needed to grow. When you understand that both good and bad experiences are serving your growth, you stop desperately clinging to one and desperately avoiding the other. You stop white-knuckling your way through life, terrified of losing what you have or not getting what you want. You engage fully with life while holding outcomes lightly. You give your all while being okay with whatever happens. You love deeply while knowing that love might end. That's non-attachment, and it's the only way to actually enjoy anything because you're not ruining it with the fear of losing it. Fifth principle, doing is not as important as simply being. You know what's radical in our productivity-obsessed culture? Doing absolutely nothing. Not nothing with your phone in your hand, not nothing while listening to a podcast. Actually nothing, just sitting, just being. We've made meditation into another thing to achieve, optimize, and perfect. But the most profound practice is simply sitting and existing. No goal, no purpose, no productivity. This terrifies modern humans. The moment we stop doing, we start facing everything we've been using busyness to avoid, the feelings we've been suppressing, the thoughts we've been running from, the reality we've been denying. But here's the thing, you are not what you do. You're not your productivity. You're not your achievements. You're not your to-do list. You simply are. And until you can sit with that simple beingness without needing to justify it through doing, you'll never actually know who you are beneath all the noise. Sixth principle, you can be an objective observer of your mind and your life. This is the game changer. This is the principle that can end your suffering almost immediately if you actually get it. You are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. You are the consciousness observing your thoughts and feelings. When anxiety arises, you're not anxious, you're experiencing anxiety. When anger happens, you're not angry, you're experiencing anger. When thoughts spiral, you're not the spiral, you're watching the spiral. This isn't spiritual bypassing or emotional suppression. It's the recognition that you are the sky, not the weather. The weather passes through you, but it doesn't define you. Try this. Next time you have a strong emotional reaction, instead of saying, "I am angry," say, "I'm experiencing anger." Instead of "I'm worthless," try, "I'm having thoughts of worthlessness." That tiny shift from being the feeling to observing the feeling changes everything. Suddenly you have choice. Suddenly you have space. Suddenly you're not controlled by every passing mental event. You become the watcher of your mind rather than its victim. Seventh principle, your natural state is oneness. This is where people usually check out because it sounds too mystical, but stick with me. Every problem in your life comes from the illusion of separateness. You think you're separate from other people, so you're lonely. You think you're separate from nature, so you destroy it. You think you're separate from your true self, so you're constantly seeking. But separation is the illusion, connection is reality. This isn't just spiritual talk. This is physics. This is ecology. This is observable truth. Everything is interconnected. Your actions affect others. Others' actions affect you. The air you breathe has been breathed by billions before you. The atoms in your body were once in stars. We play out these ideas of individualism, of separation, of us versus them, but eventually we all return to the truth. Everything is one. This is what enlightenment actually is. Not some magical state, but simply recognizing what was always true. When you understand this, really understand it, everything changes. You stop feeling so alone. You stop feeling so separate. You stop feeling like you against the world and start feeling like you with the world. Here's what's amazing about these principles. They're not religious. They're not dogma. They're not things you have to believe in. They're observations about how reality works that you can test for yourself. Try it. For one day, remember that your experience is constructed by your mind. Notice how changing your mental narrative changes your entire day. For 1 week, practice observing your thoughts instead of being them. Watch how much less they control you when you're watching them instead of drowning in them. For 1 month, practice non-attachment. Engage fully while holding outcomes lightly. See how much more you enjoy life when you're not terrified of losing it. These aren't ancient principles that don't apply to modern life. These are the exact principles you need because modern life has become so insane. You're stressed because you've forgotten you're constructing your own experience. You're anxious because you think you are your thoughts. You're miserable because you're attached to outcomes you can't control. You're lonely because you've forgotten you're connected to everything. Zen isn't asking you to believe anything. It's not asking you to join anything. It's not asking you to become anything. It's just asking you to wake up to what's already true. Your mind creates your experience. Yourself is a construct. Truth is what resonates now. Happiness comes from non-attachment. Being matters more than doing. You can observe your mind. Everything is connected. These aren't beliefs. They're observations. And once you see them, once you really see them, you can't unsee them. And that's when everything changes. Not because you've learned something new, but because you've finally seen what was always there. The question isn't whether these principles are true. You can verify that for yourself. The question is whether you're ready to see them. Whether you're ready to stop trusting lifestyle blogs more than ancient wisdom. Whether you're ready to stop living without philosophical foundation. Whether you're ready to wake up. The principles have been here for 2,500 years. They'll be here when you're ready. The only question is, how much longer are you going to suffer before you finally pay attention?